Warning! My Pride and its characters belong to Tribal of Doom. This story contains mature themes, viewer discretion advised, though there will be none in this particular video. This video, by the way, is a challenge for me, not a critique, nor a video about how to fix anything in the series. I have a lot of respect for My Pride, and I wish to all the artists participating in the project good luck and a bright future. Bonjour everyone! I'm Charlotte Cardonnel, I'm a French YouTuber creator. This is my first video in English and it is not even scripted and I'm really not that great in English. So I hope this video won't be too cringy. I hope it will still be understandable because I have a lot of chance to make a lot of mistakes. Vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, all the mistakes you can imagine. But I wanted to share with you this particular video and I want to open my YouTube channel to a more large public because the goal of my YouTube channel is to share creation, share content, share passion. So I really wanted to share it with a lot of people. This video is a video about My Pride, which is a series created by Tribal of Doom, or at least which is diffused on the YouTube channel Tribal of Doom. And it's a series that I really like and I think got a great potential, and I really hope it will continue and it will have the recognition it deserves because it's really a great series. So this video, as stated in the intro, is a Chara design challenge, which means it's by any means not a video about how to make things better. My Pride is great as it is, and they do as they do with their limitation and their artistic creation. So just to be clear, this is not a video about how to make better things. This is just a challenge for me as a creator and as someone who wants to be a film director in the animation industry in the future. So, the first thing I tried to do is to replicate the My Pride style, to understand where it came from and what's its strong point and what's its weaker point. So it was really interesting to copy that style, to understand how it is made, or at least how I envision it to be made. What I gather is that the body proportions are realistic and the face not so much realistic. There is big eyes because the accent is on the emotions. That bothered me the most was that there was no structure in the My Pride style. Structure in animation is how you decompose your drawing in shapes to make it better to understand volumes. And in the My Pride case, which I guess is linked to the way it is animated, there is not much of a structure. And when I compared to The Lion King, by the way, I traced because I was just too lazy, and the point of the video is not to prove if I can make Lion King drawing or not. So I just wanted to gain a little time. The things that The Lion King do and the My Pride style don't do is the structure, because it's really more easy to understand the volume on the Lion King version. But why I did a Lion King version is to understand what I mustn't absolutely do. I don't want to do Lion King because it would be like the worst thing to happen in a series like My Pride, just to be seen as a Lion King fanfiction, which is absolutely not. It has its own universe. So really, the Lion King version is just a drawing to perfectly understand what I mustn't do. Because no, My Pride deserved better to be seen as a Lion King fanfic, really. My English is so terrible, I'm so sorry. Like it. With a different animation style, I will try to add shadows, which I think could suit the animation. So here I made blurry shadows because it's the style of Lion King. But I understand why there is no shadow, I think, in the entire series on the lions, because it's like really hard to animate, and the crew on My Pride did an amazing job, and I think they're not many. I think they're not professional, they're not well paid, so what they've done is really good. I don't ask very much else. So, the next drawing, yes, I trust again because I'm lazy, was to understand the real proportion of a lion. So it was trying to not redraw a lion, but comprehend how its shapes works. So one thing I find really interesting is the shape of the head, because in the My Pride and the Lion King, and I think mostly the Lion King, we have this idea of a flat head, but this is not the case. Lions have more of an hexagonal head shape, and that's really interesting because I don't ever see much lions made with this head shape. But I think when I tried on other propositions, that shape of head is quite hard actually to place ears and to place hairs like hover has on top of a head, fringe sort of. But it was interesting nonetheless to see what a real lion shaped like. Clearly, the realistic aspect of the drawing I'm making makes it impossible for it to be animated. And I will go a little further because you'll see I will do a simplified version of this realistic style. I don't think it's a good choice for a series as My Pride, because even if My Pride has some realistic components and a mature tone, it still needs a lot of expressions in the face, and the problem with realistic looking cats especially, they don't have expression. Their eyes are just tiny and they don't have brows, they don't have really movable structure on the face, which make, by the way, 3D realistic model of cat really hard to do because there is no expression. So I think in terms of animation, a really realistic approach is not great because you actually need to have some deformation to express something. Moreover, I will add that it's kind of important to have a certain humanity feeling when you draw your main character for the public to better understand the character. And I think that's also what's bothering with this particular head shape. It's not very human-like. So it's a bit harder to create a character who is enticing for the public, in animation at least. Oh, by the way, I'm totally thinking right now that the problems I told you here is exactly the problem there is in the Lion King live action remake. like there is no expressions in the face, and when you are trying to do a series about character who have certain humanity in their reaction, it's like super important to have emotions. You're not trying to do a documentary on lions. So yeah, for my part, it was mostly a test about how a lion's face worked, so I could draw from that knowledge in the future. And that's the next proposition, which is more my personal style. This drawing is the first drawing I've done, which was more of a test, and that inspired this whole video. But one thing I noticed when I redrew it is that the head was really flat, and that flat head was coming from Lion King, not from an actual lion. So it was interesting to reshape the old drawing I've done with the real proportion of a lion in mind. Though I will say that this proposition is actually a little bit too illustrative. I think it could be more simplified. There is a lot of shapes and proportions that can be just made better, I think, but it was interesting. As I was doing more of a semi-realistic take on this design, yes, it's semi-realistic, I know it doesn't look like it. I tried to keep the proportion more natural, but also the design more natural, because when you have more of a realistic kind of artistic direction, you cannot make a choice like the little fangs in the ear, because they would clash with the rest of the design. So I had to find other ways to represent Hover's characteristic. Oh, by the way, yeah, I choose Hover because Hover is a really interesting character. She has some notable features that distinguished her from the other lioness. So I choose her because she was the most basic, known, and also interesting character in my pride to do this challenge. So yeah, I had to find other way, like cats in the ears and little scars. And for the color, something I've done in most propositions is that I've changed them. Why I just changed a little bit of the colors is because I will show on the screen what the black and white version of Hover is like. And as you see, there is no contrast. And in a character design, it's actually really, really important to have strong contrast in your character, because it helps the way the eye will look and the way you will understand the story. So I actually made either her fur darker or her muzzle and chest brighter. I also made a second version with this particular design when I made her a lioness with mane. It's not a transgender lion, as there is already on my pride, and I don't think Hover needs to be transgender, but there are rare cases of lioness with mane, and I thought it could be kind of suiting to the character. Because Hover is so confident and so voicey. I don't know how I can say that. Like she speaks her mind out. So yeah, I tried that design and I thought it was really interesting, and it was inspired by the actual fringe she had. The other design I've done is more like 80s anime style, which was really fun to do, because one of the most important things in the 80s anime designs is like the hairs, the way it's like flowy, the hair, the way it's like flowy and really detailed. So it would be like such a pain to animate, but it did kind of a cool result and I wanted to share it. It was fun and it was actually easier to pose the colors as the fringe was actually closed, so you don't have to blend it with the actual color of the fur. And with a more cartoony design, it was far easier to add the little fangs on her ear because it was not as realistic as the other propositions, so you could get away with doing some pattern on the fur, some little jewelry, so it was really cool on that side. Also, one thing when I think about the colors and how I treat it during this whole challenge is with the eyes, because the eyes are really striking blue in the My Pride design, and it didn't fit well with all the designs, so the eye color actually changed a lot to best match the visual style I was going for. The next proposition is actually inspired by Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it's simplified animation. What is great in Avatar: The Last Airbender, I won't get it, is the way the line work is really simple, but still it is so human. There is a lot of variation in the design, and I found that really interesting, and I think it's a solid proposition for actually My Pride, because it's enticing for a younger public, or at least younger, not that younger, but for teenagers. It's enticing because it's anime-like, it's clear, there is volume, and it's, I think, simple enough to be animated easily. I actually, though, don't inspire myself by the way they draw beasts and creatures in The Last Airbender, because they look like creatures. So when your characters are all creatures, in this case lions, you have to take that in account to, again, make the characters more expressive. So their designs will be more human-like than if we were in a case where there will be human in the story and we'll see humans, so we have to make the creatures more creature-like to be more realistic. I add in this proposition is tribal makeup, African tribal makeup, and this is an idea that just came when I did my research on African style, because My Pride is obviously based in Africa, and this is something I found really interesting and striking, and you will see in other propositions in the future. But the tribal makeup is such a great idea in the case of My Pride, because it has never been done on other lion animated series, and it could mean so much. It makes the story more culturally inspired by Africa, which can be really great because it is based in Africa. So I think taking inspiration from that is really great. But also you can add so much meaning in makeup and create such cool and intricate, but at the same time really simple design, really striking simple design, and get away with the swirly things hover as for example on her cheek, because this swirly thing obviously can go on a more realistic design. It's just too sparkle cat, I think, but with African makeup you can do that, and this is just on point for the theory, for the way the characters are treated, the way the universe works. I think it would be really a great idea. Hey, just a little last minute commentary on this particular part, because I realized it may be problematic for some people. When I speak about African makeup, I don't want it to be taken as cultural appropriation, because I hope it really isn't. For me, African makeup make a lot of sense in this particular theory because it's about lions that lives in Africa, and it could be a really great open door to discover more about African culture and folklore, because it's of course isn't just something to make lions pretty, and something I want to emphasize. This makeup would be great for symbolism, not just for making pretty designs, and I hope it didn't came out that way. If a story wants to use some cultural things that came from different countries, in my book it is fine, because it is an opportunity for the creator as well as the readers to learn about another country and learn about another culture. But of course it means that thoughts must be put in the actual designs. For example, the makeup I will do in these videos on the lions are like lame example of what could be done. It's just a visual example, but not a symbolic one, because if we want to make it right, and if we want to make a symbolic representation through this makeup, we would have to learn about this specific culture and how it is done all around Africa, because there is not just one place in Africa. This particular subject needs research, but I think it could be really great to understand more about the culture and to interest others in discovering as well this fascinating culture. So yeah, take the visuals I will put on the lion with a pinch of salt. This is not an actual representation, an actual correct representation of what African makeup is like or mean. And I didn't have the time to do all the research that would be needed. But yeah, so if you want to do this, do it with respect, passion, and a lot of research. Thank you for listening, because I really don't want to offend anyone with these designs. I just felt like it was such a great way to discover more about other countries. The next proposition is inspired by Michel Oslo, which is the filmmaker of Kirikou and Azuri Asmar, which are animated movie really inspired by African culture, because African or Arabic culture, because this particular filmmaker is like passionate with this culture, and it shows. And what I really loved about his work is the simplicity of the designs. They are like really smooth, really easy and striking. But what's the most important things in Michel Oslo's films is the backgrounds. I will show you some examples, and the backgrounds are just gorgeous. And it would be so cool in a series as My Pride to have more simpler characters, but such a striking, beautiful background who just makes you believe you are actually in Africa. It could be really great, even with the stretch, I don't remember how it's called, but yeah, the stretched land who is always dry. I think there could have been great background possibilities even for something as empty as the stretch. I've done other more a lot darker here because I wanted to stay close to African inspired graphic style that Michel Oslo is known for, so with a more darker line, and it helps create this striking contrast with the blue that is inspired by the eyes, and the darker furs was like really fun, and I really loved this actual proposition. The next one is inspired by Cartoon Saloon, which is known for Song of the Sea, The Secret of Kells, and Wolf Walker. So it's a really known and popular style by now. And it was really like fun because it's like flat as flat can be, but it's still really structured, and the structure is actually really easy to replicate because it's only geometric forms. I don't know if I succeed like the best it could have been, and I don't think so, truth to be told. It could have been far better, but it was really interesting nonetheless to understand that style. The most important critics I will give to this particular style in the case of my pride is that it's too Irish inspired. It's not African enough, and plus it's a style that is actually well known. So even if it's a cool style, I don't think it should be associated with anything else than Cartoon Saloon and their Irish, English-inspired stories. And this is a style that is really great for, but we would need something more African and something more unique for my pride to really shine at its full potential. And I struggle for the colors. The next one is more for the funsy than an actual real proposition, I feel. Proposition not in the way that my pride should do that, again, just in the way that it's a design challenge, and I'm trying to think like an artistic director here, and it's hard, but it's just the exercise. So this one is more for fun. It is inspired by Leo the White Lion. So it's more of a simplified anime style, and it was really fun, but truly not fitting such a mature story as my pride. But it was expressive and it was funny to do. Talking about doing things for fun, the next proposition. It's just not meant to be animated. At least not the way people think of animation most of the time. It is actually inspired by one of my favorite artists, which is Michelle Tchaikovsky. She's doing a webcomic called Ava's Demon, and I highly recommend you to check it out because it's gorgeous, like gorgeous. So yeah, I was like 10 hours of drawing, was a little tired and wanted to do something more fun. Plus, it's actually possible to animate this kind of illustrative style, but it's actually, I think, a lot harder and inefficient when we think about how it is already difficult for my sprites to animate their series because of their limitation. So yeah, not a good alternative, but it was fun and it allows to create more specific design, like use more popping colors, especially in the eyes, shapes that you don't often use, like the how do we call this shape? Diamond. I should have known that. The diamond shape in the eye for the pupil, because in Ava's Demon that's what she's doing. Though in Ava's Demon that actually has meaning, which there is not in this illustration drawing. But hey, I just wanted to have a little bit of fun. My English is terrible! Kill me. This must be so cringy. going back to actual work, the next proposition is more on a darker perspective. I tried to inspire myself by the mature tone that my pride is known for, I think. More violent, more dark than Lion King story at least. So I wanted to reflect that on a more darker Chara design. But I think it's too sketchy. The blocky style, like the really shaky lines and dark shadows, are something I wanted to do because I wanted it to feel a little dirty, but I think it could really need more thought put into the design. It's been an hour of doing that. I don't succeed anymore. I don't know how to speak English anymore. But yeah, it's like more of a darker style. I think it's not the best it could have been. Like I don't master the style, obviously, but it inspired me the very last style. And it's actually the one I prefer. It is inspired by European comic books, more especially the style found in Psychonautas, which is an animated film that is a must to watch. It's a really good animated film, not for children at all. And what I really like about this particular design is the simplicity of the shapes, but also the graphic design. Like, it's not something you've seen elsewhere. It's really, really unique, and you have this feeling of a more mature story that is told. You have the feeling that it's a character that means business. And what I actually like is also with the style, you can have liberties. You can do more specific head shapes. You can do tribal makeup, which you will see in a minute. You can make the jewelry working, and you can make the special colors work. You can have these striking blue eyes. You can have a more sandy gray fur, and all of this will work. And I think it's like really great as an option, because my pride needs something that scream personality, that scream, hey, I'm an original and cool story. And this style, I think, really fits the mature themes and the kind of ambience. But I must admit, with this style, it's really not that appealing, especially for teens. Like, it's kind of not ugly, but it's mind-bugging, some sort of, like, it's not something you like to watch, like an anime style, for example. So maybe it could be a restriction, but in my opinion, it's better to have something more unique and original than something more family friendly, I would say, or teen friendly in the design. And yeah, I also did a proposition of this exact design with tribal makeup, and I still think it's really good, and it adds really a lot of layers for the characters, for the story, for the all artistic designs in global of the series. So yeah, if there is one thing in this video that I would like to see in my pride, it's actually tribal makeup. But as I was saying, this video is not about how to make things better. My pride is great as it is. It was just a fun challenge for me as an artist and as someone who wants to create animated series as well to take on. And this is all the propositions I've came up with. All of them would need to be worked more, and especially worked with the other characters and the background to really be something like interesting. Here it's really just such a little example, and it's not really even a good example, because when you speak about artistic direction, you actually need to take in account all the other design, but especially the backgrounds, and like how the light will be hitting, and all how the theory will be animated. It's like not just do a character and yes, this is far better or far worse or whatever. It's just not working like that. So it was just a fun challenge for me, and I hope it was for you too. And maybe you have loved because of my horrible French accent. No, like really. And I think I've done so much. I'm so French. But yeah, I hope it was still enjoyable and you have spent a good time here, and maybe I will do more English videos and maybe I will be better at it. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you will have a good day, and yeah, wish you the best. Bye! It's weird. That was the word I was looking for.